So the one of the reasons why I wanted to bring Daniel here, Daniel was in our winter program a year ago,
Yeah. Cold start, it was cold.
and the format was actually a bit different because we had started the winter program last year, December 15. So everyone that came in actually canceled their whole vacations, and so the idea was, cancel vacations, you go all in now, and New Year arrives, and you have a company. And so they were, I would say about 10% of the teams where it actually happened, and Daniel was one of them. And but I think what's really interesting with the story of Daniel is it's a story of endurance and persistence through really hard times, and so we're going to talk about that story, and then we'll talk about all the cool success also he's having right now. But yeah, welcome. So who are you?
I'm Daniel, founder and CEO of Rork. And basically, we are building mobile apps with English, and you can publish them to the App Store in 3 clicks and make money. Basically, we're the Shopify for mobile apps.
Maybe a high level, how many people are using it right now? Like how many apps people have shipped?
Yeah. We basically have more than 1 million projects created on Rork all through this year. So we literally started a year ago here in Founders Inc. During the Cold Start program. And now we are the biggest mobile app builder, AI mobile app builder for Expo and React Native.
And so you walk us through when did you start building? What type of projects did you build? You kind of like traveled around Europe also. Maybe let's go over that early story.
Yeah, so I was basically born in Moscow, Russia. I have an interesting background because my family is kind of international. So my surname is Indian. And I traveled basically since I was a child. My family basically on Mac and Apple. So I learned how to design and build websites since 11, I think. And then somehow I decided to I want to do physics because I was really inspired by Elon Musk, and went to the best university in physics in Russia. And then I dropped out to build mobile apps, which was completely random somehow. And my first app, which was basically an AI movie search by Vibes, used LLMs back in 2018 and became viral in 3 countries. Got hundreds of thousands of users, which I launched 21. So I had to learn how to design, build, and grow literally any app with a very, very small team. But even though we can rate as a small round in Russia, the app failed because we couldn't scale it to the next level. But yeah, I just didn't want to go to a job. So I basically continued building startups. I built a crypto platform for generative art. The first one went to a Y Combinator interview where they literally asked me, who are your users? And I just said people who want to make a quick buck and go away, which was true, but it appeared that NFTs were a flop. But I think it represented a kind of trend that I only now understand. I'm going to talk about later. So yeah, we made 6 figures from that. And then basically, I was basically stuck in immigration hell because again, I was from Russia, and Russia started a war against Ukraine, as you may know. So for 3 years, I've been traveling around in traveled 15 countries, settled in London first because it was easier. But I always wanted to come here in San Francisco. And I was literally here 2 times. First, where I visited Ethereum San Francisco Hackathon, where I met my co-founder. And second time I visited Founders Inc. And that ended up really well. And now I'm finally living here.
So when we met you about a year ago,
yeah,
you were working on something that was kind of adjacent, but not exactly that.
Yeah.
Talk to, I think a lot of people in this room are, they're always wondering, am I working on the right idea? Is it ambitious enough? am I truly excited about this? And so I'd like you to talk about the project you came in for, and talk about, like, I remember the office hours where you're like, fuck, like I don't know this is it. Like I don't have an advantage against others. And so I think if you could talk about the original kind of like marketing project, why did you pick that, and what made you kind of like pivot?
Yeah. Okay. So the story is actually starting like 3 months before that. Basically, I started working on Rork in September 2024, like 3 months before Lovable Bolt appeared on the market. It was initially when I realized that a lot of non-technical people were using Cursor to build apps, and Cursor was not like the best product for that, especially if like a designer or PM. So we initially started to build like Rork for web apps, but then like Lovable and Bolt gained a lot of momentum, and like they literally added 4 million ARR in 4 weeks. So I was like, how can we actually win here? And I was really focused on like trying to find a niche for the web app builder, even though my co-founder, one of the co-founders at the time, basically, who's my current co-founder, sorry, you should go and like just do mobile, because we've been doing mobile apps since we were like 17. He basically started building mobile apps at 13 in React Native, and his first app went to like 2 million users at 17, and he made like 30K a month while being like a school kid in Russia. And even like basically his like the Russian government tried to ban this app, so he won against them. So he's basically a crack mobile engineer. I've been building mobile apps for my whole life, and somehow we were like, we should build like web apps, the thing that everyone is building and seems to be growing fast. So I was really focused on winning, and one of the ideas of winning was like focus on landing pages for marketers, and then the second one is to build like a marketplace around it, which was called 21st Dev at the time, which is also now a separate company. But yeah, I think I've been ignoring the truth that actually we were the best team to build for mobile. Actually, most of the consumers want mobile apps. They don't want to build web apps. I know San Francisco doesn't believe that, as I learned, but actually what like inspired me fully were actually two things. So initially we didn't get backed by Founders Inc. And Hubert like told me, what about mobile apps? I was like, shit, we should go and like build for mobile apps. And then the second thing is actually watch.
It's funny because I did not even know about your background in mobile.
yeah, that was like, that's the paradox of all this story, right? And this,
I think it's some people say like a good pivot is a pivot that feels like home.
Yeah.
And I think for you that was definitely the case.
Yeah. So basically, when I was arguing with my co-founder about it, and I was basically saying, oh, mobile apps is like this small market, right? Have you ever seen a no-code builder for mobile apps? Like no one, like people want, like they're, so the problem is like I was thinking like an investor, like was it like this fundable? So I thought that web app builders are growing fast. So if you like build a plan on how to basically like build a mobile web app builder that is like growing fast, or like have a plan to win, you can get like funded in San Francisco, which was probably true, but it was not convincing enough. And actually mobile was like empty. We were like the people who build it. So even I thought it was like a small market. So I think only the other lesson is just not think about the market size at all. Because as I learned right now, it's actually the opposite. Because if you think of like consumers and non-technical people who want to start businesses, all they want to do like a start business on the App Store, especially like all over the world, not only the US. That's why we did like business on the App Store. We didn't like launch a web app to make money when we were young, you know? So this is kind of like reverse what actually people thought at the time, and even I did.
And when you did the pivots, I think you had absolutely zero money.
Yeah. Basically, I was already like running out of money. I was 15,000 in debt, and basically I was living with this YC founder who's my friend in his apartment, sleeping on the mattress on the floor, just going here. And the second thing that actually like really convinced me is like I used this whatever like his mobile app was built on, it was like Expo. And even like a web app that he had was also like React Native Web, like Expo router basically. And I was like, oh, this is the future. So he's building a mobile app startup. He's using Expo. Why was I trying to use like Next.js? So this could have actually built even web apps. So you think?
And what went through your mind? Because you're probably a bit crazy because you're like, have no money. I'm going to like go a month and a half in San Francisco to do this Founders Inc. thing. And then, this was, I think you had no money for a while.
Yeah.
What kept you going?
I think I was just not ready to like give up and lose. So basically I've been a founder since 6 years ago. And like a lot of my projects, they were semi-successful. Like they have hundreds of thousands of users or hundreds of thousands of annual revenue. But in the end, they failed because you ran out of money on the market. Just like crypto market just went down, obviously. So like what choices do you have? You just continue or you just like go to a job, right? So I always found ways to continue and never give up and just work on my own projects. And now that I think about it, I was doing like the most optimal path because now the dots can actually be connected. And for me, it's just like a personal failure. It just becomes a personal failure. You just keep going because you need to. And what was special about Rork was when I came up with the idea of Rork, I couldn't think of anything else. It's like, oh my God, you can think of an idea and then an app appears. This is like pure magic. Like I should be working it as app. And we didn't try to copy Lovable or Bolt. So that was like pure inspiration. And I thought I still had that energy, right? So even though I was already in debt and like got a lot of rejections,
and
it was obvious that this is a good idea to work on. Web apps, mobile apps, there was something there.
I think Daniel, the program ended and he, we told him, hey, you can stick around if you want to. And I remember he looked at me and he's like, I'm going to stick around, but I need to lock in. So I'll be back in 3 weeks. And I'm like, okay, that's very specific, 3 weeks, But then he came back and then you launched. You actually launched via someone else. Or someone else launched you. And
actually, it was not like that.
Okay.
So, yeah, basically it was working on, like we were working on Rork for mobile. Like thankfully my co-founder did listen to me and started earlier. And then in 3 weeks, I just basically finished and he was like, oh no, everyone was just going to launch it anyway. Like we're going to lose whatever. And I was like, no, we're launching this thing. This wants to be here. And it's like, it seems like Rapid is going to launch it. Bolt is launching this. And we launched this basically on the same day as Bolt launched it. And yeah, I remember all of my friends saying, oh, this is not going to make it. Basically, Bolt is adding this. What do you? But I knew subconsciously mobile apps are so hard. You can't add it as a feature. So they added like some Expo builder, but it's not doesn't deploy to the app store. It doesn't like add native payments. It's just nothing. And we basically launched on the same day because we were prepared. And that actually helped the algorithm boost the tweet. So it got like 100K views. And literally I found one person who was like, oh, this is better than Bolt. I want to invest. So I cut it out from the public thing, but he literally invested $1,000. And I was like, okay, whatever. And but he was like a big influencer, so he was like, I'm gonna post about you in 5 days, so be prepared. I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean be prepared? I just got some E2B credits,
which I mean, by the way, like someone investing $1,000 and making a huge video about you is very unusual.
Yeah.
It's actually, in fact,
he was a founder.
He was a founder. I mean, in fact, the common advice to advisors is they really are not going to do much for you, especially the one that or like very small investors. So this is but there's always exceptions to the rules, and I think this is out of like hundreds of companies I've seen, this is the biggest exception of value I've seen someone create for a company with little stake they had in the company.
Yeah, because he generally liked the product, and I think he was like a founder that was super rich. So like, I'm gonna invest, but I can only invest like 1,000. Uh, so he's like, I'm just gonna post one tweet. So he posted literally one tweet, but because he was like an influencer, his name is Matt Schumer. He's basically my tweet got 100K and his tweet got like more than 1 million views. And then he also knew Anthropic and a lot of like investors, like the early pipeline. And also we start getting inbound. So literally 15 minutes
So
after.
I
he
think
posted-
the moment we have to talk about here is you go from starvation for months to in a matter of hours, you are you're the prettiest person in the room.
Yeah, it's like a rack to riches story. So literally 15 minutes after, like Austin already DMs me, and he's like a big, like angel investor and like founder of Collinia, and he's like 400K followers. I want to invest, and he was like, I was like, how much? And he was like, how much can I invest? So I had to like say the number, and I asked him like, how much do I say? And he said, oh, this is gonna be crazy. Be prepared. Just don't say a lot because he's gonna take advantage of you. And but I still didn't believe that. So I was like, the valuation was like not as high. So I didn't like already like, okay, it's like $20 million. No, it was like I've started with a low valuation because like who knows what's gonna happen. Like literally a week ago, no one was interested. Suddenly something changed. Nothing changed actually, but. Something did, but yeah. And basically it just ramped up. So that day we closed 350,000, and basically in a week we basically closed like 2.8 million. But the craziest story is that I was just chasing like connections. Like I was just talking to everyone who would.
Hey, I'm gonna tell you a story. So that's day one.
Yeah.
Day two, I think Daniel probably messaged me or something, tell me like, hey, things are crazy right now. And I had to find a room in the house to talk to him. So I called him from the restroom.
Yeah, I think you were
at midnight.
Yeah.
And I think if investors really want to talk to you, they're gonna find ways to talk to you.
Yeah, that was true. Yeah, and then we got backed by Founders Inc. And yeah, it was literally like a moment of like, should we basically like now think of who we want on our cap table? So I basically like started asking for interest to people because it seemed like we could raise money from a lot of people. And it helped that during this 6-year journey, I was already basically know like basics of how to raise money because I read a lot of Paul Graham. So basically I was like prepared, I was not, I was basically like preparing for this moment subconsciously. And so I kind of knew what to do. Obviously my pitch wasn't perfect, but when you have like lots of pitches, you can just fail a lot of them and still go like get away with it. Yeah. So, and people just, and also I think it helped because my pitch was like, I did physics and Russian. People just thought we were like lovable with Frog Labs, and there was like just like fast growing, and then he was also a physicist, and I was like also a physicist. Like there's a lot of resemblances which are very funny. So people would sometimes back me like after 15 minutes of call just because there was like a lot of similarities.
When we'll have a dedicated fundraising talk, but when investors FOMO and everyone talks about you, the mindset change. It's not about should I invest in this company. It's they're going in the calls thinking I want to invest in the company, and it's a very different mindset. And so, except if you totally fuck it up, and they realize you're like a drug dealer, you will get founded. So the psychology of investors is can shift very quickly. And I remember Daniel asking me, I think you called me a couple of days into this, and you're like, these people want to give me like $1 million. Like, I feel like it's a scam. Because he didn't, at the time, he didn't like shift his mindset. He went from like, nobody cares about me to everyone wants to give me money.
Yeah.
And so, like, I remember it took you kind of like it took you a couple of days to like, okay, this is real. And okay, I have to think, like, I have to be strategic. I have to get the right people. And I think another interesting thing here is he said like, "Hey, I invested at a lower, like I started the run at like a lower valuation, and without giving exact numbers, I think the ultimately it became like 4 or 5x.
Yeah.
So in a week, the valuation jumped 4x or 5x.
Yeah. But
So-
if I adjusted my mindset, if I was prepared, I was like, I should. Sometimes maybe, I don't know. In retrospect, it's easier to say, but sometimes you can like say higher valuation already because you understand that the thing has shifted. But I didn't realize that basically, like a San Francisco group chat, basically. If people know about you, they're going to talk about you to each other. So it's like there's rumors spreading. So people out of nowhere were calling me. So Matteo Franchetti from Eight Sleep would just randomly call me on my number. How did he get my number? I don't know. So and yeah, just 15 minutes of a talk, and it's just like it happens. So yeah, so sometimes just people talk, and it just happens, and it's weird how it looks from the outside. Yeah. So
the when you price around, the valuation of the first people in is usually quite different than other people after, and also if you have a lot of momentum, you have a lot of pricing power, and so we, especially with safes nowadays, we see rounds that double, triple like in a week or two, and that's I mean, to me it sounds kind of crazy, but it happens, and I think that as founders, like you are in the hardest part of the journey, which is like starting up, and what happened with Daniel, not realizing like, hey, this is real now, is very common. So I hope that you can have that problem one day.
yeah. Also, I think you were like the one who actually like inspired me to like launch a lot on Twitter, like Founders Inc. especially. So when I came, I was basically had some followers from crypto, which were basically dead, and then I used like Founders Inc. to like get the initial like network of people follow me from San Francisco. You could actually like and reply to my tweet and like boost it. And I remember you said basically there are two ways to raise money as a no one in San Francisco. First, YC demo day, and second is like Twitter. And I hope Founders Inc. becomes like the third option, and I think it's already becoming one. I think, yeah, it is true because like Twitter is like the decentralized way to raise like a big round. I just didn't know at the time how powerful it can be. So now I just when it's not public yet, but I'm just telling you. Yeah, I was just always following Twitter, so basically, literally, Twitter is how people in San Francisco think about you if you just read it a lot. I think that's how it works basically. Yeah, so if you want to fundraise, just be hot on Twitter, and then just if you engineer it right, then you can raise money. If even if you're like a no one. Supposedly a no one. Obviously, we were the perfect people to build the mobile app builder, but we didn't know it at the time.
Let's do some QA.
The day before I raised. When I first started on Twitter. Yeah.
Yeah, the question is, if you had to start over Twitter again from zero, what would you do? That's kind of like
If I want to start like growth on Twitter, or yeah, so I would try to get everyone from your batch and Founders Inc. to like follow you, and try to like repost and like each other, or at least comment, and then I would just launch things. And obviously, it's good when people on Twitter already think that whatever you're following is like in the trend. It's like it's hot. It's the current thing. Like Mark Andreessen says in San Francisco, there's a current thing always. So my thing was a current thing. Like obviously, like Lovable was the current thing. So if you just like position yourself as like Lovable but for mobile, then the Twitter basically thinks you're and it's usually right. So, but not always. Yeah. but yeah, I would just try to like be in the trends if you want. But I think even if you're not in the trends, just trying to like, whenever you meet someone interesting, exchange Twitter with them, just ask for advice and just try to like post every day. It's really hard. Yeah, even I still don't do it, but like posting every day and making sure you basically prepare for one big launch, which is high quality video. People are going to help you here with Aiden especially, and yeah, just trying to like learn copywriting, learn what works in your hooks or what doesn't. That all works. So it's like a huge work, but as a founder CEO, that actually helps. I don't know, crazy. Yeah. Yeah, so this is like a 10x.
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah. So the question is, why didn't Lovable or other web app builders focus on web apps, and why didn't they figure out mobile? Right? Yes. So the thing is like, you know, this Peter Thiel always tells like you have to find like some contrarian ideas, and somehow mobile apps were a contrarian idea because investors and everyone thought it's like a small market, and also it's like a 10 to 20x harder technical problem. So why do you invest 10 to 20x more engineering resources to a thing that supposedly is a very, very small market? And if you can build web apps, and there are more, like a lot of website builders who are billion-dollar companies, you can just disrupt them. It actually works. So it grows really fast. So you think, oh yeah, I was just going to do whatever works, you know. Like why? Because literally Anton Osika in November, even before I came to San Francisco, the Founders Inc., he DM'd me like asking, yo, what's the best technical stack for mobile? We are going to add mobile apps to Lovable. 1 year later, they didn't. And even I thought, oh, they're going to add it. But then I forgot how, if you actually ever did it yourself, you know that you can't edit. It's just like in the day. It's just a very hard thing. And I mean, there was also a bunch of people who were like, oh, there's A0 YC back company, you're cooked. Or there's like this company, you're cooked. And like you just test their product, it just doesn't work. And it's like Rork was kind of working, even though the first version was like really buggy as well. But at least the agent worked, which was in the preview, and it was actually beautiful as well. Like, so just make something you want, I think. And work on hard technical problems that people overlook.
Yeah, man, especially on the competition side, like pretty much every IDs nowadays has like 5-10 competitors or more, and maybe another like 5-10 possible competitors. And we see way too many founders not even trying things because they think there's too much competition. So if you think you have an edge at something, which, you know, Daniel and his co-founder had, you need to go do it.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, my first tweet. So the question is, if I would launch my product for the first time today, scrappy version of my product today, what would I launch? So I think that the best advice here that I love is like, you should only launch when there's one happy user, like when at least one person can receive value from it. So it shouldn't be as scrappy as that no one receives value from it. So we launched when like at least it was possible to like publish like a mobile app, but it was basically publishing to web. So we didn't have like an app store published, but it was already useful because actually it was a mobile app and you can like export code and continue working cursor. And yeah, I think we just launched on the video side. It was just like a screen studio recording. So it was not a fancy launch video. It's just like a recording of me building like a product from one prompt. And the distinct thing that I remember added at the last minute was like a web preview, which a lot of competitors didn't have, or had a really shitty version. But we had a really beautiful version because, again, I'm a generalist, so I did design and coding. So it's like I made this preview look really good, and people will just instantly see, oh, you can just input a prompt, then you have an iPhone app. This is not like Lovable, which like show you a website. It's like this is already distinct visually, so I think that's why it's worked. People just see the videos, oh, it's mobile, and yeah. So what would I avoid doing? Launching a scrappy version of your product that actually doesn't work, so there's no happy users at all. Like, I think at your stage, spending a lot of time on launch video could be either good or bad, depending on what your product is. So for me, I think the product was really, like the category is really trending as well. So I can't like really say you shouldn't like spend time on the launch video, but for me it worked. I think our first launch video was like an AI generated thing that got 1 million views because it was just when VIA 3 came out. And I think I remember all investors not gonna like it. And actually a lot of people then copied it. Like some of our smaller like bootstrap competitors that try to copy the launch video. I was like, this is an AI generated like joke. Why are you copying it? But yeah, we still haven't done like the premium best looking launch video, but it's coming. And we got like a 1.5 version, which is like a...
What's funny about launch videos, I've seen hundreds of launch videos now, and I've seen the $10,000 launch video that gets 5,000 views, and I've seen the scrappy 2-minute recording in the podcast room upstairs that get 500,000 views, and
yeah, exactly.
They were the same product, and so generally take a lot of shots. Take shots at the product at the launch multiple time. None of you here should spend more than a couple hours on a launch video. And the problem is if you spend too much time on a launch video, the stakes and the expectations are going to be so high because you're like, hey, fuck, I worked like 2 days on this, 3 days. I spent $5,000. You better do well. And so you just increase expectations. So just do like crappy, a webcam, a laptop, and something cool. That's all you need.
Yeah, I think actually Founders Inc. podcast room has this vibe on Twitter that is like actually like true and authentic. Some people even love it more, maybe if to theorize on why it happened. Because now it's like a distinct thing. There's like some people who just tweet, oh, Founders Inc. founders are so cracked. It's like the best place in San Francisco because they find these gems and whatever.
The podcast room upstairs has like 80 million views or maybe more now.
Yeah.
There's a way for you to book it and to record your lunches. So just ask like Aiden and we'll help you.
Yeah. So I think it just depends on the product launching multiple times and trying to talk to whatever users you get. I think one of the big reasons we were successful because I knew from crypto that you have a Discord channel, which is like your community is there. They would always like input bug requests, which I was trying to fix as soon as possible, and it got really big. Like a lot of Lovable users basically joined our Discord a lot, like in the early days. And I remember I was sitting before the launch. I was sitting in the Lovable Discord talking with some people on the voice chat, which is really like. They were telling me like, this is a cool product. Like I really want it. Like Lovable doesn't support mobile. So it's like, you should always try to talk to your users. I mean, just read like the classic advice, like just talk to your users, see if they like it. And if they like it, just launch it. Yeah.
We'll do one more question.
Yeah. So app building in general just never was like a contrarian idea, I think, because of Lovable. But people in general didn't think that mobile apps was like a fundable thing. But I think the smart investors understood, and when they saw growth, they were like, okay, this is something that people want also. And it seems like there's a category here. So if there's Lovable that grew to 4 million ARR in 4 weeks, then if this is, so we grew to 300K ARR in 3 days. And they're like, okay, there seems to be a category here as well, you know? That means basically if you just try things, you might get lucky, you know? So, but I would say that it was contrarian because when I was trying to like pitch others, after a while, they would still didn't believe that this is $1 billion company. And when I was thinking about it myself, I remember I had the same arguments. You know, there's no code mobile app builder that is $1 billion company. There's
I remember some of his hours with Danielle. Literally 5 different ideas and convince himself on the 5 different ideas that they're all bad ideas and they have bad markets.
Yeah.
It's very easy for you to convince yourself on these things. And unfortunately, I mean, founders do need to have some type of like, hey, I have to believe kind of like blindly, and most of the time it doesn't work, and most of the time there's reasons why you thought like this was not going to work, but you do have to push, and you do have to let the data ultimately be the voice of reason. And I think when you guys launched, you didn't have MRR growth that Lovable has, but you still were able to grow pretty quickly.
Yes, I think I just wanted it myself, you know, when I was young. So if Rork existed when I was 21 building mobile apps, I would be so happy. So that is the thing, the biggest data point, like as everyone, if you build something you want or you would have wanted someday, that means you're on the right track. And probably sometimes you're the best people to do it, or at least you'll care a lot and actually be successful. And yeah, I think I just, so this was a very interesting thing because as a developer, I hated building mobile apps. But as a consumer, I loved like having built mobile apps. So I only started building web apps because it was so much easier to build mobile apps. So I just literally started loving Vercel, Shotzi, and all of this because web apps were like, you know, an easier thing to code. But when coding was not a problem, suddenly basically reverses the whole thing. And you can so easily build mobile apps as easy as web apps. Who would ever build web apps unless you wanted them on desktop, you know?
I want you to take 2 more minutes because we didn't talk about it, but I want you to talk about growth. I remember the first couple months I talked to you. You're like, we're not growing fast enough. We haven't figured out growth yet. What would be for people that already have like 10, 20, they already have like initial users, what would be your advices on getting to the hundreds of thousands of users?
Yeah, I think initially the best advice is to just go and try to do growth yourself, even if you're not good at it. Then if you're trying to hire people for growth, you don't understand who are good or who are not. I had some growth experience already. So I was running like a UGC farm that had like a 10 million view in consumer. Again, I was the perfect person to do it. So I built consumer apps. I knew how to market them. I knew something about paid ads, and I come from the country where a lot of people make money on mobile apps and they have like 60 million ARR. So from my network, I was able to find like the best paid ads person that scaled this app to 60 million ARR. Also, Hubert helped me to find like a YouTube influencer person. It was also cool. But I think it's still a challenge because it's hard to find like A+ people for growth. And I think you have to start liking it, doing it yourself, or you'll just try to hire people to just not do it.
So this is exactly the most important point, which is as a founder, you cannot outsource your biggest problems.
No.
So if your biggest problem is growth, you have to become good at growth. One of the founders at least. And if you are building a consumer app, even more. I have never seen a consumer company where one of the founders was not a really good marketer or became a really good marketer.
Yeah, I think for me, I understand what to do. So for me, for marketing and growth, the bottleneck is like operations. Like I have a bit of ADHD, but I solved that. Basically, I learned that Lovable is doing one thing really well, is they're just trying out things really quickly and just dropping them. So I just said, okay, we'll hire an agency for UGC and just try it out. It brought us like 4 million views. It was really cool. And one of the advices I heard was like, yeah, you should build an in-house team. But I was like, no, we should build both. We should hire an agency right now because we have a burning problem, and we should build an in-house team, which is hard because you have to hire great people. And if you hire bad people, then you're screwed, basically. You'll waste time, you'll waste money, and you will not have results. And so I just try to like do 6 channels, 7 channels, whatever I could. And actually it worked. But obviously, if I already had the team built out and also a lot of immigration problems solved, my co-founder is still not here, still waiting for his visa. So if maybe in a different world, it would have been even like better, we would be at 100 million ARR already. But I think what we realized is we're building a quasi-consumer company, right? So growth is figurable out. It's hard to do it, but you can do it if you hire like an A+ team, which you can do later. But what actually is the most important thing is like how to actually like build a good long-term product. And since we picked the hardest technical problem, we're still like the best people to do it. And this will make us win in the long term.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.